In today's video, we will dive into 20 unexpected psychological tricks that really work, revealing the science behind them and how you can apply them to your daily life. From getting someone to like you with just their name to making decisions easier by offering fewer choices, these techniques are both simple and shockingly effective. Did you know, for instance, that simply using someone's name can make you instantly more likable and persuasive? Or that there's a reason why you can't just walk away from things you've already invested in, even when it's rational to do so? These phenomena have names and explanations rooted in decades of psychological research. So, if you're ready to find out how to harness these principles to improve your interactions, negotiations, and overall understanding of human behavior, stay tuned as we explore each trick in detail. Get ready to be surprised by how predictable human nature can be and how knowing just a bit more about psychology could give you an edge in everyday situations. Prepare to arm yourself with knowledge that feels like a superpower. Because by the end of this video, you'll look at human interactions through a whole new lens. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Power of Names. Using a person's name during a conversation isn't just polite, it's a powerful psychological lever. Dale Carnegie famously said, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest, most important sound in any language." When you use someone's name, you acknowledge their identity and importance, which boosts rapport and trust. Studies show that people feel more valued and respected when their names are used. It's a simple strategy that enhances personal connections in both personal and professional settings. Chapter 2. The Foot in the Door Technique. This technique works by first getting a person to agree to a modest request, which increases the likelihood they'll agree to a larger request later. It's based on the principle of consistency, where people want to act consistently with their previous actions. A classic study by Jonathan Friedman and Scott Fraser in 1966 involved asking homeowners to place a small sign in their windows supporting safe driving. Those who agreed were more likely to agree later to a larger request to put a bigger sign in their yard. Chapter 3. The Door in the Face Technique. Contrary to the foot in the door, this technique starts with a large, often unreasonable request that is expected to be rejected, followed by a smaller, more reasonable request. The key here is the contrast effect. The second, smaller request seems much more feasible in comparison. A well-known study by Cialdini and colleagues in 1975 demonstrated this technique by first asking college students to volunteer 2 hours per week as counselors. Following rejection, a second request to escort children to the zoo saw a 50% increase in compliance compared to those who were only asked the smaller request initially. Chapter 4. The Benjamin Franklin Effect. The Benjamin Franklin effect is a psychological phenomenon where people who have done someone a favor are more likely to do another favor for that person than they are to receive one in return. The idea is that we justify our actions to ourselves by assuming we helped because we like the person. Franklin himself used this technique on a rival legislator, asking to borrow a rare book and subsequently winning his goodwill. This effect underlines the complex interplay of favor and obligation, turning potential adversaries into allies through the strategic request for help. Chapter 5. The Mirror Effect. The mirror effect is a technique where you subtly copy the body language, speech patterns, or attitudes of the person you are interacting with. This mirroring helps create a sense of empathy and understanding, as it signals that you are both in sync. Researchers have found that people who experience being mirrored are more likely to view the mirroring individual as likable and trustworthy. In negotiations or personal interactions, mirroring can lead to better outcomes and more positive relations. Chapter 6. The Scarcity Principle. The principle of scarcity is based on the idea that people place higher value on resources that are limited or hard to obtain. Marketers often use this technique to enhance the appeal of their products by indicating that they are available for a limited time only, or that stock is running out fast. A classic example in research is the cookie jar experiment by Warkle, Lee, and Attawol in 1975, where participants rated cookies in a nearly empty jar as more desirable than those in a full jar, illustrating how scarcity affects perception of value. Chapter 7. The Paradox of Choice. While conventional wisdom suggests that more choices are better, the paradox of choice posits that too many options can lead to decision paralysis and dissatisfaction. Psychologist Barry Schwartz highlights in his research that eliminating consumer choices can greatly reduce anxiety for shoppers. For instance, a famous study conducted at a gourmet market demonstrated that displays with fewer choices of jam led to significantly more purchases than displays with more choices. This suggests that limiting options can enhance decision-making and satisfaction. Chapter 8. The Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon. Also known as the frequency illusion, The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon occurs when something you've recently noticed suddenly appears everywhere. This cognitive bias is partly due to selective attention. After noticing something for the first time, there is a tendency to notice it more, giving the impression that it has an increased frequency. This phenomenon can be utilized in marketing to enhance consumer awareness and perception of a brand's ubiquity, potentially influencing buying behavior. Chapter 9: The Fear of Missing Out, FOMO. FOMO is a powerful motivator that leverages our innate fear of being left out of rewarding experiences. This psychological trigger is especially prevalent in social media, where seeing others enjoying events or purchases can provoke anxiety and prompt action. Marketing campaigns often exploit FOMO by creating time-sensitive situations that urge consumers to act quickly or risk missing out. A study from the University of Missouri found that FOMO can significantly increase engagement on social media posts, suggesting its potent influence on behavior. Chapter 10: The Zeigarnik Effect. Named after psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, this effect describes how people remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed ones. This principle is often used in advertising and television, where cliffhangers at the end of episodes ensure viewers return to find out what happens next. Applications in productivity involve creating a system of manageable tasks where the sense of incompletion keeps individuals motivated and more likely to engage in productive behavior. Chapter 11: The Anchoring Bias. Anchoring bias is the human tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions. During negotiations, for instance, the initial price set the stage for all subsequent discussions and adjustments. Studies show that even arbitrary anchors can significantly influence the outcome of decisions. This bias can be manipulated in marketing strategies to set high expectations of value or in negotiations to ensure a favorable outcome. Chapter 12: The Halo Effect. The halo effect is a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. This effect can be particularly potent in job interviews, where a good first impression can cloud an employer's judgment regarding an applicant's suitability. Similarly, attractive products or branding can improve perceptions of quality and value. Research shows that attractive individuals are often perceived as more sociable, successful, and intelligent, which companies leverage in their choice of spokespeople and models. Chapter 13: The Pratfall Effect. The pratfall effect suggests that making a mistake can actually increase a person's likability, provided that they are perceived as competent to begin with. A classic experiment by social psychologist Elliot Aronson found that people who spilled coffee on themselves were rated as more likable than those who didn't, as long as their overall competence was established. This effect is particularly relevant in advertising and public speaking, where slight imperfections can make presenters seem more relatable and trustworthy. Chapter 14: The Reciprocity Norm. The principle of reciprocity is a social norm where if someone does something for you, you naturally feel an obligation to return the favor. This is a powerful tool in persuasion and can be seen in practices such as giving free samples, which not only allows potential customers to try a product but also creates a subtle obligation for them to buy something. Research shows that reciprocation is a deeply ingrained behavior, often exploited in marketing and networking strategies to foster loyalty and engagement. Chapter 15: The Commitment and Consistency Principle. This principle is based on the idea that people like to be consistent with the things they have previously said or done. Once a commitment is made, they are more likely to honor it. This is why public pledges or written commitments can be so effective. For example, asking people to sign a petition can later influence them to support a cause more actively, because they want to align their actions with their declared commitment. This tactic is widely used in sales, politics, and social movements to influence behavior. Chapter 16: The Contrast Principle. The contrast principle affects the way we perceive two things that are presented one after another. If the second item is quite different from the first, we will see it as more different than it actually is. Salespeople often use this principle by showing the more expensive product first, making the next option seem reasonably priced by comparison. Psychologists note that this principle plays a significant role in how we evaluate choices and make decisions. Chapter 17: The Bystander Effect. The bystander effect is a social psychological phenomenon that occurs when individuals do not offer help to a victim when other people are present. The greater the number of bystanders, the less likely it is that any one of them will help. This effect was first popularized after the murder of Kitty Genovese in 1964, where it was reported that several witnesses did not intervene or call for help. Understanding this effect is crucial in emergency response training and campaigns aimed at encouraging people to act rather than assume others will take the initiative. Chapter 18: The Spotlight Effect. This effect describes the tendency to think that more people notice something about one's appearance or behavior than they actually do. It stems from our natural egocentrism. For instance, a study by Gilovich, Medvik, and Savitsky showed that fewer observers noticed a Barry Manilow t-shirt than the wearers expected. Recognizing the spotlight effect can alleviate anxiety and improve confidence in social situations, as it reassures us that our minor slip-ups or flaws are not as conspicuous as we might fear. Chapter 19: The Sunk Cost Fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy leads individuals to continue an endeavor, or continue consuming or pursuing an option, because of previously invested resources, time, money, or effort, regardless of the current costs outweighing the benefits. This fallacy can trap businesses and individuals in bad decisions, making it a critical concept in economic and educational fields. For example, people might stick with a dysfunctional car or a poor relationship because of the time or money already spent. Chapter 20: The Mere Exposure Effect. This psychological phenomenon occurs when people develop a preference for things merely because they are familiar with them. Studies, such as those by Robert Zanes, have demonstrated that repeated exposure to a stimulus leads to increased liking for it. This effect is extensively utilized in advertising, where brands consistently expose consumers to their products through various media to build familiarity and preference.